Hi there, buddies. We'll also discuss the Telegram channel, which publishes early news. For instance, the MicroStrategy dossier states that if the cryptocurrency market keeps declining, they may sell Bitcoin for less than its cost in order to pay off their debt. You should be aware of this since it can cause a sudden crash. Bitcoin is also being sold by BlackRock. We will also discuss that the cryptocurrency market is still at a standstill. No notable recovery has occurred, and the larger market is part of that. For example, Ethereum has fallen from its typical $2,000 to less than $1,500. That puts the other altcoins in jeopardy. As you can see, altcoins aren't making a comeback under the current circumstances. XRP is below $2, and over the past week, numerous altcoins have experienced large declines, falling 15–20%. We've fallen considerably farther today, and market sentiment is still panicked. We were therefore on the verge of surrender. Why? Because $72,000 is the next significant level of support for Bitcoin. I believe the last decline will occur if it falls there. I anticipate that the Fed will intervene after that, much like it did during COVID. When the Fed began creating money, the stock market and cryptocurrency both soared. That's what I anticipate happening again. We'll probably remain in this range for the next few weeks, and cryptocurrency may decline much more, albeit not as precipitously. All things considered, we will soon recover. I think the current state of affairs will be entirely different by the end of 2025. We observed significant selling volumes of XRP during the decline. However, there is also interest. The price of XRP was repurchased above $1.62. On the daily chart, it has dropped below the 200-day moving average, but it is now trading above the $1.77 support zone, a bear signal. When XRPE fell below the 50-day moving average, it was the first danger sign. The fact that it is currently below the 200-day also suggests that a further slide may occur. The areas of support are obvious. The point of no return, in my opinion, might be at $1.55 or perhaps $1.32. The next stop might be as low as 80 cents if XRP falls below $1.33 on a weekly basis. Thus, exercise caution. The pattern on the chart has already been broken. I said back in January that a head and shoulders pattern was developing, and it came to pass. XRP fell. I've included screenshots of my XRP sale via Binance. I'm now keeping an eye out for a favorable re-entry position. Additionally, I'm keeping an eye on the XRP versus BTC pair. I'll go into greater depth about what I believe is going on there after a brief break. We are observing the same pattern on the XRP versus BTC pair. Pump drop, pump drop. However, we have been sliding sideways for some time now. This shows that a big player may be dispersing their position gradually without causing a pump and dump. A golden cross appears on a weekly timeline, but it is ineffective. Why? When the cost has already increased. One lagging signal is the golden cross. It validates what has already occurred. Compared to Bitcoin, XRP has already increased by almost 400%. Examining areas of help, eventually the 2000 Satoshi level and then the 1700 Satoshi level will probably be tested. The point of no return, in my opinion, is below 1500 Satoshi. A big weakness would be indicated if we were to breach 655 Satoshi. For instance, XRP will continue to fall in value relative to Bitcoin, potentially reaching 655 Satoshi or even lower if Bitcoin reaches $150,000 while XRP remains at $1.50. The real point of no return would then be reached. Regretfully, XRP hasn't risen back to its previous levels in relation to BTC, even after the November bounce. XRP and XLM did well out of all the cryptocurrencies in my portfolio. However, XRP did not reach its prior highs. XRP was trading at 4,000 Satoshi in 2020. That level hasn't been observed. It peaked in 2018 at 11,000 Satoshi. The value of XRP was amazing. The majority of altcoins are currently experiencing the same problem. They are losing value in relation to Bitcoin. It's a fact. Nevertheless, some traders use stable currencies, manipulate market values, and purchase Bitcoin when it's cheap. I've also done that. Both XRP and XLM saw respectable growth. Thus, at $30.40, which I believe will be the next bottom, you might switch back to Bitcoin. News-wise, we witnessed a decline in XRP before a buyer intervened. They removed XRP from exchanges after purchasing it. For example, as of March 20th, Binance held 2.84 billion XRP, or $3 billion. By April 8th and 9th, that figure had decreased. Whales are obviously purchasing XRP at a discount and transferring it off of Binance. In addition, the number of wallets for XRP holders is increasing in spite of market volatility. The Telegram channel claims that more than 6.26 million wallets currently contain multiple XRPs. The network of XRP is growing. The MicroStrategy file states that they will have to sell Bitcoin at a loss if the market continues to decline in order to pay off debt, as I also mentioned in the same Telegram thread. Many were astonished by this. The market as a whole may decline further if MicroStrategy begins to dump Bitcoin. Additionally, the US government is examining regulatory barriers for blockchain, stablecoins, and other payment methods, according to Treasury Secretary Scott's dissent. The LSD stablecoin from Ripple is prepared and complies with all legal requirements. A wave C is forming on the chart, which may push XRP back to $2. However, each wave analyst has their own interpretation, of course. The RSI also indicates that it might be time to purchase XRP, but I would hold off until the market completes its correction and the trading conflicts end, or until the Fed intervenes, at which point I anticipate a recovery. According to former President Trump, this is a wonderful moment to purchase equities, Bitcoin, XRP, and other cryptocurrency. This will be a big opportunity for certain people. Others will suffer losses as a result. As cryptocurrency prices decline, so does interest in XRP. According to Google Trends, less people are looking for XRP or cryptocurrency in general. To sum up, the cryptocurrency market is still in a correction phase. When it comes to entering a trade, timing is tricky. You could still catch a lower bottom people who bought in January or February or have been accumulating since 2022. Interest peaked during the crash, but now many have sold off and left the market. The next time we see hype, when Google Trends is full of searches like how to buy XRP, that's when there will be time to sell, but I don't think that'll happen anytime soon. Similar to people who purchased DOT for $6, $5, and $4. See DOT at $3.37 now. In September of last year I purchased DOT for roughly $4, and I must admit that I regret not making a profit. I would have felt considerably worse if I had held DOT since 2022. To be trapped with poor performance for so long is a long time. I could have at least made money if I had held XRP instead. Stellar is no different. However, I made the wise decision to diversify, but DOT didn't work out. Regrettably, I'll be watching to see if I should purchase any additional items for less than $3. I mention this in order to be open and honest. Not everything was successful. I performed nicely on XRP and Stellar. However, I wasn't happy with the returns from other coins because they didn't perform as well. That's the way it is. We appreciate you viewing Crypto Facts. I'll see you later.